Curious to know who the very first person is in the room. Well, I won't know this time because there's 17 who just popped in. Hello to everybody. Give everybody a few minutes to come on in, and we will get the party started. I got a lot of media for you tonight, a lot of clips. Shout out to the producers for helping bring everything together. Hope everyone is well. What's going on, Keith? How you doing, brother? David said he's first. Took, good to see you. Hi, Selma. Rachel, Alexis, Brian, Joey, Jesse, Sarah. I see all of you. Monica, Patricia, Denise, Michelle, Lloyd. A lot of folks. So what are we at? 660 so far. Let's take a second, if you don't mind. I always ask you to share, and then I end up forgetting to share myself. But actually, no, I could work smarter, not harder. Uncle Scrooge. Scrooge McDuck taught me that back in the 80s. So I'm going to share when I play this first video. I'm going to share a lot of stuff to cover. Donald Trump refusing to participate in a virtual debate despite the fact that he's COVID positive. We'll talk about that and the implications of it. The issue in Michigan with Governor Whitmer, that is wild. The Governor Whitmer story is absolutely wild. We'll discuss that. And then, of course, as always, we'll take your questions and your comments. And you can join in. I will be more than happy to bring your conversation on the screen. Thank you, Rachel, for sharing. Good evening to you, Jessica, on YouTube. Black Corvo, good evening to you. Let me get Jessica's on the screen. Beautiful cat. Fun-loving Trump hate group. Try chicken. I'm reading that comment. I had to screen that. Roger, I was born in Alabama, so it's love. I got nothing but love for Alabama. All right, let's take a look at the first clip. And this is of Donald Trump on Fox Business News this morning, refusing to agree to participate in a virtual debate, despite the fact that he has tested positive for COVID-19. Wow. I mean, the arrogance of it, the hubris of it, but the sociopathy of it, the willingness to put people's lives at risk because of your ego. And he says as much in this clip. Take a listen in.
Thank you so much for being here. First question is, how are you feeling? How is the First Lady feeling this morning?
She's feeling good. I'm feeling good. Really good. I think perfect. And we're ready to go. I'm ready to go, except the quarantine situation that you have for a little while after you get tested or whatever the procedure is. But I'm ready to do. I'm looking forward to doing the rallies. I heard that the commission a little while ago changed the debate style, and that's not acceptable to us. I beat him easily in the first debate, according to the polls that I've seen, but I beat him easily. I felt I beat him easily. I think he felt it too. He wouldn't answer any questions, and he had the protection of Chris Wallace all night long. It was I thought Chris Wallace was a disaster. But I beat him in the first debate. At the second debate, we have a never Trumper as a host, but that's okay because I beat him in the second debate also. But I'm not going to do a virtual debate.
So Mr. President, you're not going to do it because the CPD, the Commission on Presidential Debates, announcing this morning that the second presidential debate will be virtual. Are you saying you're not going to participate?
No, I'm not going to waste my time on a virtual debate. That's not what debating's all about. You sit behind a computer and do a debate. It's ridiculous. And then they cut you off whenever they want.
Yep.
I have a host who I always thought was a nice guy, but I see he's a never Trumper. Came out that he's a never Trumper. We do have some of them, Maria, believe it or not, because they don't like to win. But I'm not doing a virtual debate. They didn't even tell us about the debate, Maria.
All right. Enough of that. The most important part was at the end where he said, and then they can cut you off whenever they want. That's why he doesn't want to do a virtual debate, because he needs to be able to control. If he doesn't have control, then he can be exposed. And that's one of the number one traits of a sociopath. They have to be in control of everything because that's the only way they can manage your perception of them. The only way they can control you from seeing the truth about who they are is by dominating the situation. And if at any time someone else has control, then by definition, it's obvious they're out of control. And if a sociopath is ever out of control, well, then you can expose them for the lying, sociopathic megalomaniac that Donald Trump really is. Now, that's just one part. The second part is how selfish this man is. The fact that he absolutely doesn't care about any of the people who are being affected. The White House is literally a hotspot. The White House has become a hotspot for coronavirus, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And that's the sociopathy. That is where Donald Trump will sit back and literally, he's responsible for 210,000 deaths, but he will literally be the one to kill you by spreading coronavirus to you because he is so evil that he won't stay his butt inside a quarantine without infecting and going out and doing stunts and photo ops and affecting the people around him. One of the top security, no, not one of, the top security advisor at the White House has gotten sick and is extremely sick, right? That he may not make it. And this puts the entire country at risk, but it even puts himself at risk. And we said that the other night, sociopaths like of the likes of Donald Trump, they do not care about putting their own lives at risk. What they care about is maintaining their image. Take a listen to this as he confesses that he has not even been tested.
Out of the Senate hearing that he was supposed to do. Mr. President, I know you have to go. Just to recap, you're not going to do the next debate because it's virtual. You're feeling good. I know I want to make sure that the audience understands you're feeling good. Have you been tested recently? Can you tell us anything else about your condition?
I'll be tested very soon, but I'm essentially very clean. They say it's over a period of 6-7 days. And it was an amazing thing happened to me. I just went in and I didn't feel good. And that's okay. I expected at some point because I'm out there. I've got to be a leader. I can't. Winston Churchill didn't sit in his basement for 6 months. I got a lot of things doing. And when I want to say hello to Gold Star families, I'm not going to be in a basement saying, "Hey, I can't see you," as you traveled in from California and all the different places. It's okay. And I figured at some point I would. It's a tiny. Liken it to a tiny little microscopic piece of dust. And it gets into your nose or your mouth or your eye, frankly.
What is he talking about?
Or you touch something. So I understand. And then you get better. But what's happened is the big thing that happened is I call them cures. I don't call them therapeutics. But between Eli Lilly and Regeneron, these are two different companies, you take it. It's an antibody drug. You take it, and it beats the hell out of it. And I'm telling you, I could have walked out there 24 hours after I went in. I didn't even.
I'm sorry. I can't just let him. I can't just let him keep spreading that lie, right? First of all, he has access to medicines as the president of the United States that most people nobody else has access to, right? If there's something experimental, he has access to the very best doctors. He has access to Marine One that will airlift them to a hospital with an entire floor dedicated to him. Now, I don't think he's out of the woods yet. I honestly believe that Donald Trump's got a surprise coming around the bend. But if he survives and he feels so amazing, it's only because he has access to things that we simply don't have. And the average American won't have. Even the most elite American won't have it. Not what the president of the United States has. And what he's asking people to do is go out there and, see, I survived. You go out there and then these people can't even get a room. They can't even get a ventilator. They can't get an ICU bed. This man had an entire floor at Walter Reed dedicated to the president of the United States. It is not the same. We are not the same. absolutely asinine. Let's read a couple of comments. Yes, born beauty star. He is a moron. He most certainly is. Let's see what else everybody else is talking about. Let me take a look at the producers chat here. I want to make sure we get all the good comments, our chats and super chats and comments from everywhere. Tammy on Facebook says 6 to 7 days are a joke. I feel ill March 23rd, and I still, to this day, have fevers. Tammy, I'm sorry that you got sick, and that you are one of the victims of this country's negligence. I'm glad you're still with us, and wishing you well. But yeah, to your point, Donald Trump has no idea what's coming around the bend for him. His only saving grace is the fact that he has access to the very best everything that America has to offer. All right, let's read a couple more comments here. The chats are going off. Facebook is popping. Facebook, we have like, I don't know, 1,100 people, 1,000 people on Facebook. YouTube, click that like button, click that share button, click the subscribe button. Let's beat the algorithm. I want to watch one more clip of Donald Trump and talking about the polls, right? Let's take a listen in.
You can't get sentences out. In fact, if I was criticized
So what do you
for
make
one
of
thing,
these
it's that
polls then, Mr. President?
I don't
Do
know.
you
I
not
don't
believe these
understand it.
polls?
I don't believe them. I don't believe the polls because we've never had this much support. They have a boat thing. They have 5,000 boats. They have thousands of trucks all over the country.
I saw
I
one.
don't believe the
I saw
polls.
one in my neighborhood.
Maria, I don't believe the polls. And you had the same polls. They were worse the last time. I had one last
Yes,
time. I was
it's true.
9 down in 9 different states, and I won all of them. I was in 9 states I was down. Big ones. I won every one of them. The polls are rigged, just like the reporters are rigged. We have a very dishonest media.
Yeah. Well, the media does not want to focus. The mainstream media has not focused on many of your successes. You mentioned one of...
Oh, please. She's just horrible. That's... He just called her entire industry garbage, and then she's trying to find a way to walk around. So, listen, that's the same, you know... I think Joe Biden, last I saw, had like a double-digit lead. At this point in the race with Hillary Clinton, it was converging. Right now, it's diverging. It's spreading apart. Of course, he has to reject the polls. And in addition to rejecting the polls, he's trying to force the outcome to be in his favor because he's doing everything he can with his Trump army. Right? He's organizing Trump army across the country of poll watchers who are going to show up to intimidate and suppress the vote with their AR-15s, which is a significant threat. It is a threat like nothing else I think we've ever seen in this democracy. And so the reason he doesn't believe the polls is because in his back pocket, he has the suppression tactics that they've been using and they plan on using on Election Day, which is why everyone needs to vote and vote early. If you vote early, then you avoid the crowds on November 4th, 3rd, and it's safer. And it's safer in terms of coronavirus, but it's also safer in terms of not being there to be suppressed and observed by the Proud Boys, which is a story I want to get to in a second about these people who are trying to overthrow Governor Whitmer, which is unbelievable. But that said, hello to everyone in the chat rooms. I see we already got a couple of trolls, which is totally good. I like this comment. I want to share this one from Facebook or from YouTube. Tammy said, go on the screen. Thank you. Hey, Ben, thank your wife for giving us some of her time for us. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Trust me, my wife doesn't mind. She's more than happy for me to have 2,000 people to talk to politics about, so I don't have to bother her about all of the politics. All right, I want to shift gears and read a couple of comments, but we're going to talk about Governor Whitmer in Michigan. I think that's a very significant story because it shows the depth of the psychosis, of the political psychosis that is festering inside of the Trump movement. And the potential danger of it. It is it's significant. Hang on, I haven't watched this video, but if the description hang on, let me give me 2 seconds. I want to see what. Let me just play this. I haven't watched this one yet. Let's see what this one is about, folks.
7 to 10 days was a window that you'd be concerned about. I don't think we're there yet. So do you have concerns about potential worsening or reversal? And what are your plans for addressing that if it were to happen?
You're absolutely right. And that's why we all remain cautiously optimistic and on guard because we're in a bit of uncharted territory when it comes to a patient that received the therapies he has so early in the course. So we're looking to this weekend. If we can get through to Monday with him remaining the same or improving, better yet, then we will all take that final deep sigh relief. But as I said, 24/7 world-class medical care surrounding him down there. We're not going to miss anything that we would have caught up here.
So yeah, that's kind of just supplementing. Donald Trump's out here playing like he's out of the woods, yo. Donald Trump is out here playing as if he's been cured. I think he really believes that he could simply speak it into existence and then all of a sudden he's going to be well. But he's got some dangerous days ahead, and you know, it is what it is. I don't feel any sort of way. Born Beauty on YouTube said he gets the best medical care that we don't. Absolutely. On Twitch, let's see. Oh, you guys are just speaking to each other on Twitch. No problem. Get to know somebody in the chat room. I want to read Ben's comment. Ben Smeeks. Uncharted, as in no other Americans are available to that chart. Precisely. Thank you for that comment, right? He's receiving stuff that nobody else has received. I don't necessarily think that that is always the best place to be. I wouldn't want to be the test subject, but I'm sure he insisted on it. In this case, I'm sure Donald Trump, and it may work, folks. That's the thing. It may very well work. They may have found the right combination to help people survive it. My thing is if it's not accessible to every American, then how can you subsequently tell every American to go out and live life like normal because you beat it, when everybody else is not going to get what you got? And compounded with the fact we don't really know how well he's going to be in the next couple of days. So Saturday comes around the bend, and it could very much well be that he'll be escorted out on a stretcher. Shout out to Edward Rawls Jr. He's on that Trump salary. He doesn't want to be belittled like the rest of Trump old supporters. Right. Check out what he has access to that his own supporters don't even have access to. That's the thing. What he has access to that his own supporters don't have access to. And you and me, we know not to listen to Trump. His supporters are the ones who are going to be damaged the most by this. His supporters are the ones who are going to die from this because they don't have access to what he has. You and me, us on this stream, we know better. Those of us who can't shelter in place, we're sheltering in place. Those of us who have to, we're essential workers, you're doing everything you can to protect yourself and your family. We're not doing all of the moronic things that he's insisting his supporters do. His supporters, it's funny, his supporters are calling us sheep, but they're the ones being led to the slaughter. I said that the other night and I thought it was really tweetable, really quotable. So I just said, let me say it again. All right, let's take a look at these clips. A couple of clips. Apparently, the president was on Sean Hannity tonight. It was going on while I was doing an interview. So I will see if we can get some of those clips. If there's anything meaningful or worthwhile from that interview, we will try to include it in tonight's stream. But I want to shift gears to talk about Governor Whitmer because I think that case is extremely, extremely serious and dangerous, and it shows us what is on the horizon if we're not careful. But before we move there, let me just go through all of these super chats. Thank you to everyone on YouTube who's sending a super chat and everyone who's subscribing on Twitch. We have DJ Addy who subscribed with Prime. If you don't know what that is, on Twitch, you can support this stream with your Amazon Prime account. Basically, it costs you nothing, and it takes money away from Jeff Bezos, and it redistributes it to us. So if you want to support the program and you don't want to spend any cash to do so, take some cash and take it from Jeff Bezos and send it to us by going to twitch.tv/Benjamin P. Dixon and subscribing with your Prime account. It costs you nothing. Thank you, Texton, for the bits, 100 bits, cheering. Thank you so much. Kirk Ney, send in a super chat. Thank you for that super chat. DJ Addy, again, who subscribed with Prime. Julie of mine, subscribed for 1 month at a tier 1 on Twitch. Thank you so much. Texton, cheering. Let's go through. Brad Mirror said, thoughts on the attempted kidnapping of Governor Gretchen Whitmer. We're going to go through that in a second. Nefti Boricua said, COVID-19 is smaller than tiny dust. COVID-19 virus particle is the size of 125 nanometers, which is 0.125 microns. The range is 0.06 microns to 0.14 microns. I'm going to take your word. It's smaller than dust. So everything else in there was might as well have been hieroglyphics for me. Our Heart on YouTube said, thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. Jamerson said, comrades, what's up? Hope you're all doing well. Hope everyone is doing well. Dakota Schmidt. Dakota, I feel like I know Dakota. Subscribed at tier 1. Thank you so much for that. And Trev O'Brien said, did you hear of Trump on Hannity tonight? Again, I'm only hearing it from you. I saw it when it popped up. So I'm going to ask one of my producers if they could to try to go to our resource and pull down any meaningful clips if we can. No rush. We'll do it towards the end of the night since we're just getting this. Texton, thank you for cheering again. Yes Star said, see comment above from Austin. Okay, all right, we'll get that together. Let's go to the clips of Governor Whitmer. I want to start with her reaction to give everybody, oh wow, yeah, these would have been really great clips. I was asleep when this was happening. David, sorry, I'm talking to my producer. It's a serious story. 6 people have been arrested in attempted kidnapping and subversion. Kidnapping of the governor of Michigan, Whitmer, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and they were looking to overthrow the government. There's some cognitive dissonance here in terms of them wanting to overthrow the government in the name of the government, but that's neither here nor there. The threat is real, and their attempt to grow their army is real. And FBI agents got wind of it because these gentlemen attempted to connect with a militia that had far more people. I think the militia had about 200 people with them. And there was an FBI informant embedded in that militia that made the connection and saw what these guys were doing. They got weapons training to execute this. They try to make improvise explosive devices, IEDs. None of them successfully went off. And all of them have far right-wing ideologies. They are domestic terrorists. And yet hardly any media outlet described them as such. There was a tweet that I shared, and I'll see if I can find it. But it made it clear that if these people had been Muslim, if they had been leftists, but if they certainly had been Muslim, then they would have been labeled by every media outlet as domestic terrorists, attempting to overthrow the government by kidnapping a duly elected governor. This is the governor speaking. This is Gretchen Whitmer responding to what happened.
This should be a moment for national unity, where we all pull together as Americans to meet this challenge head on. with the same might and muscle that put a man on the moon. Seeing the humanity in one another and doing our part to help our country get through this. Instead, our head of state has spent the past 7 months denying science, ignoring his own health experts, stoking distrust, fomenting anger, and giving comfort to those who spread fear and hatred and division. Just last week, the President of the United States stood before the American people and refused to condemn white supremacists and hate groups like these two Michigan militia groups. Stand back and stand by, he told them. Stand back and stand by. Hate groups heard the president's words not as a rebuke, but as a rallying cry, as a call to action. When our leaders speak, their words matter. They carry weight. When our leaders meet with, encourage, or fraternize with domestic terrorists, they legitimize their actions, and they are complicit. When they stoke and contribute to hate speech, they are complicit. In 1981, President Ronald Reagan spoke to the NAACP's annual convention, and his comments stand in sharp contrast to what we have seen on the national and state level from his own beloved party in 2020.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, fine. I hate when Democrats reference Ronald Reagan because Ronald Reagan was a criminal, but I digress. That's not the argument tonight. That's her statement. The statement was calm, measured, and it was what it needed to be. It didn't sit well with someone from Donald Trump's campaign, Jason Miller, who took to the news to attack her, to attack the person who had a plot to kidnap her and probably most certainly killing her. He didn't like her. He didn't see it for yourself. This is Jason Miller. He's from the Trump campaign.
These are some pretty shameful comments here from Governor Whitmer.
How come?
I mean, how we could take because how you can go from a moment of unity to attacking President Trump, I thought was just completely ridiculous. I mean, if we want to talk about hatred, then Governor Whitmer, go look in the mirror. I mean, the fact that she wakes up every day with such hatred in her heart towards President Trump. I mean, President Trump is the one out there condemning these radical groups, whether they be on the right or whether they be on the left. We saw it 2 weeks ago when he was in Atlanta introducing his Platinum Plan, his contract with Black America, where he labeled the KKK and Antifa both terrorist groups. We saw him do.
They would never hold themselves accountable, ever. And the fact that this man, I hate to do this to you all, but I want to set up the whole story again. Governor Whitmer was the target of an attempted coup and kidnapping, a violent one. She pointed correctly to the fact that the President of the United States has been palling around with these white supremacists who like to call themselves militias, but they're terrorists. These are his supporters. He is responsible for this. He is the one that's fomenting violence across this country. Right-wing white supremacist violence. And here she has been targeted. I almost left this out. Donald Trump is the one who said, quote unquote, on Twitter, liberate Michigan. Liberate Michigan. As if they were being held hostage by the governor. So there is a direct line from Donald Trump to this threat against Governor Whitmer. And this goofball looking, slimy, probably cheese puff smelling ass henchman for Donald Trump had the nerve to go on here and instead of just not talking about it, instead decides to attack Governor Whitmer. Listen to this clown again.
These are some pretty shameful comments here from Governor Whitmer.
How come?
I mean, how we could take because how you can go from a moment of unity to attacking President Trump, I thought was just completely ridiculous. I mean, if we want to talk about hatred, then Governor Whitmer, go look in the mirror. I mean,
go look in the mirror. Go look in the mirror. I wish we need this pandemic to be over because a lot of these people wouldn't be running their mouths in person like this. Someone said it best, and this is the best way to describe him because this is exactly what he is. I gotta find that. I gotta find that comment. Who said it? Trump is a stochastic terrorist. That is exactly what he is, and I want to give you the credit for it in this episode. There it is. Rob D from Facebook. Trump is a stochastic terrorist. A stochastic terrorist is not a person who carries out the terrorism themselves. They're not directly the person picking up the arms and carrying out the act of terrorism. They are the one who's inciting it with their rhetoric. They're the ones who are coordinating it from a distance. They are the ones whose words inspire it. It's almost like, will no one rid me of this meddlesome priest? The king didn't actually carry out the assassination, but his request was carried out. And this is what Donald Trump is doing. Now let's see. Governor Whitmer made a response to it, and let's take a listen to how she handled Jason Miller, who just let this pandemic be over. just bring this pandemic to an end, would you?
If you want to know hatred, go look in the mirror. What is your response to that, Governor?
I mean, I think it tells you everything you need to know about the White House and the people they surround themselves by. You know, the fact that after a plot to kidnap and to kill me, this is what they come out with. They start attacking me, as opposed to what good, decent people would do is to check in and say, are you okay? Which is what Joe Biden did. And I think that tells you everything that's at stake in this election. We have a choice between a leader who is going to have his minions attack people when they are being targeted by domestic terror groups, and we have a leader who calls to see how you're doing, to check in and to see what they can do to help and to be supportive. And that tells you everything you need to know about the character of the two people on this ballot that we have to choose from in a few weeks.
So,
Exactly. There's nothing really more that needs to be added to that, with one small exception. Everyone needs to be crystal clear of what we're dealing with Donald Trump. And we need to not give him an inch of consideration. I am personally, and not to, this is not for me to pat myself on the back. I oftentimes have to remind myself that my empathy is not a weakness. Because in this dog-eat-dog world, it seems as though the more empathetic you are, the more people will take advantage of you. My empathy is not a weakness, especially because I know how to compartmentalize it. As difficult as it was for me to see Donald Trump wincing in pain, and while my empathy felt a moment of, I could feel the weight of his stupidity as if it was my own stupidity. That's what empathetic means. Like, I could put myself in his shoes. Not that I have sympathy or compassion for him so much, but that I could in that moment identify what it must be like to be so stupid that I make a decision that ultimately is going to destroy me. So I put myself in, and it's just a habit. It just happens. I don't even try. It's not like I practice empathy. It just happens. And so regularly I have to remind myself that that's not a weakness. Especially now I know that we have to compartmentalize our compassion, because we're fighting against someone who would take our compassion, weaponize it against us, and use it to literally kill us or infect us with COVID-19 because he doesn't want to do a virtual town hall, or infect hundreds of thousands of people with COVID-19, or millions of people with hundreds of thousands of deaths from COVID-19 because he wants to downplay it, because he doesn't want the panic to wreck his economy, right? We have to be able to compartmentalize any sympathy, compassion, any knee-jerk reaction to be kind to people who are not kind to us. And it's not about eye for an eye. It's about the fact that they will take our kindness and weaponize it against us and use our kindness to destroy us. And so for anybody out there who struggles with being strategically cold-hearted, I want you to understand, I get it, because it's difficult for me because my empathy really can identify and put myself in the shoes of anybody. And once you do that, though, with a person and a monster like Donald Trump, he seizes upon it, he weaponizes it against you, and then he will use your own compassion, empathy, and mercy to kill you and to destroy you. And so the thing that I want to say from that clip of Governor Whitmer is that everybody needs to be clear that this is exactly who Donald Trump is every single day of every single week of every single moment of his life. He is a megalomaniac, narcissistic sociopath who will take your kindness, weaponize it against you, and use it to destroy you. And so while I don't ever look at empathy as a weakness, I have learned the necessity and the skill of bottling that thing up, gritting my teeth, and when I would rather have compassion for anyone who is in pain, cut that spigot of mercy off and fight them like they fight us, and fight for what's good the way they fight for what's evil. Fight for what's just the way they fight for injustices. We have to be willing and able to do that, or else we will always be sheep to the slaughter. Not in the sense of blind sheep, the way that people try to use, but in the sense of meek and humble sheep to the slaughter. I know that's not the entirety of my, I know that's not everybody in my audience. Most people in my audience are like, I ain't give a damn about Trump. You know what I mean? He could choke on, whatever. But I know for some people, it is a difficult thing for you to say, I have to strategically cut off my compassion and my empathy, because if I continue to show empathy, sympathy, or compassion to this sociopath, they will hurt me. And in this case, it's not just hurting an individual, it's hurting the entire country. Let's take a look at a couple more clips before I get too much into my philosophical meandering. Okay, great. Hang on, let me take a look at this. It looks like there might be some breaking news. Let me jump it here. Yeah, I'm in this. Send it to me on the Slack. And oh, here's Donald Trump. Okay, thank you. This is what I want. I want to bring up. I want to bring up some tweets of Donald Trump. Let's see if I could just drag this. If I could just drag this, then this is the best software of all time. I want to bring up this tweet and let me read it for you. I also want to download it. Can I get this? You know what? Bump it. I'll bring it up on my phone. It'd be easier to bring it up on my phone. This is Donald Trump saying on Twitter, Governor Whitmer of Michigan has done a terrible job. She locked down her state for everyone. I want us to take a look at that, because this is the type of thing. This is the stochastic terrorism. This is literally the stochastic terrorism that will get someone to actively go and harm Governor Whitmer. And here it is. I'm bringing it up on your screen. Governor Whitmer of Michigan has done a terrible job. She locked down her state for everyone except her husband's boating activities. The federal government provides tremendous help to the great people of Michigan. My Justice Department and federal law enforcement announced today that they foiled a dangerous plot against the governor of Michigan. Rather than say thank you, she calls me a white supremacist, while Biden and the Democrats refuse to condemn Antifa and anarchist looters and mobs that burn down Democratic-run cities. He said, I do not tolerate any extreme violence. You encourage the violence, my man. Let's just be real. He says, while I don't tolerate any extreme violence, defending all Americans, even those who oppose and attack me, is what I always do as your president. Governor Whitmer, open up your state, open up your schools, and open up your churches. Just processing. Because there's some hypocrisy in this. The hypocrisy in this last tweet is actually, he's actually in this last tweet giving credence to the exact plot that was used, or the justification for the plot to overtake and kidnap Governor Whitmer. In this last sentence, open up your state, open up your churches, open up your schools. Full transparency, I read things backwards all the time. So I know, I could see the school and churches came at. That's besides. The point is this is literally the justification that these people made. I want to go to the article. This is from the Washington Post. I'm going to put it on your screen. The FBI revealed Thursday that it thwarted a plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer, unsealing charges against 6 people who said it contemplated a violent overthrow of the government and conducted firearm trainings, tested explosives, and tactical drills. The plotters, according to an FBI affidavit, seemed to be motivated by their belief that state governments, including Michigan's, were violating the Constitution. One of those involved complained in June that Whitmer was controlling the opening of gyms, apparent reference to the coronavirus shutdown restrictions. But unbeknown to him, the FBI had confidential. The unconstitutional part that this article kind of this article doesn't make it clear. See, when I first read this, I was like half asleep because the show was so late last night. We didn't end until like 2:00. When I first read this article, when I heard them say that states were violating the Constitution, I thought for a second that they were saying that states in general, excuse me, are a violation of, like, having an organized state was a violation of the Constitution, right? I thought they were on some anarchy philosophy, and that's only because I was half asleep. What they're talking about specifically that this article doesn't make clear, it leaves it ambiguous. This paragraph where it says the plotters, according to the FBI affidavit, seem to be motivated by their belief that state governments, including Michigan's, were violating the Constitution. In what way did they believe they were violating the Constitution? Well, the next sentence just kind of gives you the text, the context, but not nearly enough. One of those involved in the complaint in June that Whitmer was controlling the openings of gyms. Maybe they elucidated it more towards the end, but when you consider that was the exact ground that they were basing their revolution on and their kidnapping of Whitmer on, and then to see the president of the United States say, open up your state, open up your schools, and open up your churches. He is literally tweeting out the justification for all of the people who planned this attack in the first place. So this is how Donald Trump does it. He does it by saying, oh, I just simply, I want what's best for everybody. But by the way, 14 words. Sorry, that's meta. Oh, by the way, white power, right? I oppose white supremacy in every form. Oh, by the way, white power. I oppose violence in any form, but oh, by the way, open up your state, which is the exact reason these people were going to kidnap her in the first place. You guys see what he did there? So when the commenter said a stochastic terrorist, Donald Trump is literally inflaming the situation even more while trying to pretend as though he is not a part of the violence. He is the source of the violence. He is literally the source of the violence and the inspiration for it. Let me take this off the screen. Everybody pause and do me a favor. I like what Tammy over on YouTube said. Let's hit 500 likes. We have over 1,000 in the room. Let's get 500 likes. Go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps out. Excuse me while I adjust this microphone, guys. It's aggravating me tonight because of the shape of this collar. Go ahead and hit the like button, the share button. Share it wherever you can. If you're on Facebook, hit the follow button and hit the like button and share the video. We're going to dig in a little bit more. Let me go to some comments. Couple of comments from, let me make sure I got to get to the right room. Crazy Hawaiian and PA, subscribe. Thank you for subscribing on Twitch. We're just taking a quick break while everyone shares. Susie Sin Park, subscribe with Prime. Thank you for subscribing with Prime. I'm going to come back to the story. I got a couple other notes on this. It's important. Crowder has, this is from H.G. Wells on Twitch, says Crowder had a rally in Michigan trying to say that Whitmer was hiding the nursing home COVID death toll. Crowder is Steven Crowder. He's a right-wing conservative YouTuber with a huge following that he purchased. This is from Necro Merlins. Said, Ben, what do you give, who do you give, or what do you give the better odds to? Trump condemning these guys or Trump pardoning them? Trump pardoning them. Great question. Do I think Trump will condemn them or pardon them? Donald Trump would absolutely pardon these white supremacists. This is a deep comment from Trees Potting Chick. Trees Potting Chick. It's a little small. I hope, she said, they said, I hope Trump's last words are, I can't breathe. On YouTube, a super chat says from, oh boy, I could zoom in. Great. I'm glad I could zoom in because, bro. Nieska Page Jackson said, how do you prepare yourself and your family for a revolution? I read somewhere that if Trump does not win, it's time for a revolution. I can't tell you how to prepare. What I can tell you is that we got to do everything we can to make sure that that doesn't happen. Because it would be so destabilizing that we could go from this week chatting about politics to next week dodging bombs. And as much as I have a natural inclination towards a more revolutionary approach, I have learned over the years, particularly this year, particularly as a father, that my revolutionary inclinations cannot be nurtured first. It's not true for everybody, but for me, it's true. I can't play around with that idea first, because as a father, I have a responsibility to provide stability for my family and my children and provide a better future for my children as much as I possibly can. So I can't tell you how to prepare for a revolution. I'm sure there's plenty of YouTube channels, and I'm not being coy. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who have those conversations on a regular basis. But what I will tell you is that I'm doing everything that I possibly can to make sure that that doesn't happen. Not because I'm anti-revolutionary or counter-revolutionary. And I know we're talking about two different perspectives. You're saying a revolution from the right. I believe you're probably speaking about a revolution from the right. I'm talking about revolution, period. Because, I wish I could play this clip from Doctor Who from the 12th, Peter Capaldi. There's a clip where he's talking and trying to negotiate a ceasefire between two species. And he makes the speech about war and the nature of war. And one of the climaxes, there were several climaxes in that speech. One of the climaxes that stood out to me the most was he said, once those bombs start dropping, I'm paraphrasing, once those shots start firing, you have no idea who's going to die. It's always glorious in our mind. But the realization, the reality of it rather, is never glorious. Because you have no idea who's going to die. And I'm leaning into the fact that I'm a father because as a father, I would be less than a good father. I would be a horrible father if I didn't first lean into everything that we possibly can do to stop a right-wing revolution, a takeover, or anything that undermines the modicum of stability that we currently have. I would be counter-revolutionary to not first try to use the power at our disposal, which is our vote. And because this vote is so close. The vote is so close. We're only 3 weeks away from voting. So we got to do that first. We got to do everything we can to prevent this system from crumbling. Not because it's such a good system. No, it's not. But because the alternative is most certainly worse and will most certainly leave us at the mercy of localized warlords who have their white supremacist militias hunting us down. It's just a nightmare scenario. And it's not because I'm not revolutionary. It's because I'm having to lean into the fact that I have a moral responsibility. I honestly, if they want the smoke and we go down that road, then so be it. It is what it is. But I got to lean into the fact that I have a responsibility to do everything we can to prevent that from happening. If for no other reason than the fact that I brought 3 kids. Well, no, my wife brought 3 kids into the world. I assisted with bringing 3 kids into this world, and I have a moral responsibility to them to make sure that we have stability. Sorry, I didn't mean to go that long on that one, but thank you for the question. Montcoshire said, yes, that last sentence was a command from, talking about Donald Trump's tweet, that last sentence was command from their commandant. And if Whitmer doesn't comply, they will attack again. Thank you to Panhandle Messiah for subscribing with Prime. I appreciate that. Very cool. Crazy Hawaiian PA gifted a 1-month tier to Whiskey Eye. Thank you for that. Redeemed Chainsaw 667. May we all survive COVID. Yeah. COVID Fade 45. Nefty Barrico said the FBI monitoring militia groups all over the world. That is one of the jobs of the FBI. They saved the governor's life. Absolutely. Mean Beans said, mark these groups as terrorist groups as a full-blown designation for all hate groups in the USA. They are a terrorist organization for sure. I wanted to read that as Buddha, but it's BDHU 2001. Said, I think that's Biden and Harris won't talk about the court. They don't want to be accused of lying. I think that's a separate conversation, but I think it's a great point. Mojo X Quid said, can we please plot to kidnap him and not have it for, no, I'm not plotting that. You got it. You got it. All right. Are we all up to, nope, we are not. We are not all up to date. Let me get these. Wow, I got a lot. Give me a second here. Militias, this is from Nefty Barwika again on Twitch, saying militias are not constitutional scholars. If anything, many don't believe in it at all. Yeah. Thank you, Maisi Lapsy. Thank you for the pear-shaped super chat. Felicity G on YouTube said, today is 7 months since husband died of ARDS, untested. I'm so sorry for your loss, Felicity. I thank you for sharing that with us, and I'm sorry for your loss. E-Ray said, from Michigan here, it's insane, the hatred towards Whitmer here. Further stochastic terrorism from our Republican-led state legislature, shaking my head. John Porter on YouTube said, my biggest fear is what happens from November to January. Exactly. That is going to be a testing time in our country. Felicity G is sharing that her husband's last words were, I can't breathe. All right. Let's move on to the next story, and I'll grab the rest of those. People are recognizing on YouTube, on Facebook, that this is directly a connection. What he was saying is a direct connection to from what Donald Trump tweeted to the threat against Governor Whitmer. I like what Mara said on YouTube. She said, this is why it is the empathetic thing to not feel bad about Trump being sick. He is a threat to their lives. Yeah, it is. It is true. Samaria got it. 14 words. I'm way behind. Let me scoot up and try to catch up with some of the chats. Super chat from Black Corvo. He says, basically the house is on fire and you either freeze in place and burn, or you jump to the side room that's full of smoke and wait for the firefighters. That's a terrifying description, but it could very well be. Somebody wants to know, hang on, let me get them on screen. Bose Einstein wants to know, can we, hang on, come back here. Can the 25th Amendment be invoked now? Most likely not, because the steroids have him looking and sounding cogent, and there's no way that his cabinet would and the vice president will sign off on that. Beverly Standridge says, "How did I get here?" You know, that's a really deep conversation. If you can, I'm not actually about to do this, but I was going to take you all through, like, turn her question about how did this end up on her timeline into a real question of how did we get here into this moment. Anyway, I'm not going to do it. I'm tired. Those sleeping pills are kicking in. Yeah, I could tell you, but I will answer this, Beverly. The good points of Joe Biden, I can tell you one, that he's not going to send federal agents to assassinate one of his political rival, not a political rival, but someone he politically disagreed with. Donald Trump did that, assassinating Michael Reinhold. I could tell you that he is not going to use white supremacy as his organizing principle to gain political power and inflame the tensions in this country on racial lines. I can tell you that he's going to respect the institutions of this country and norms like peaceful transitions of power. I can tell you, take this out of my ear. I can tell you that he's going to manage COVID-19 at a far better level than quite honestly, anybody could. Mike Pence would do a better job with COVID-19. And I think Mike Pence is one of the most sincere, lying sociopaths that I've ever seen. Like he has the greatest sense of compassion and genuineness look in his eyes, but he's lying like a sociopathic megalomaniac. But he still would do a better job of COVID-19 than Donald Trump. Certainly Joe Biden would do a better job of COVID-19 than Donald Trump. The list can go on. He's not going to create an intentional policy of separating children from their parents to be executed by his then Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, and the assistant or the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, who both intentionally created a policy that took thousands of children away from their parents. So the list can go on in every way. Yeah. All right, a couple more things. I might end early tonight only because I'm genuinely exhausted. It's been a long day, and I made the mistake of taking. I figured I would have enough energy to make it through the show and then go to bed easily, but we're at 1 hour in, and I'm like, oh boy, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. That said, there's still a couple of things going on in the news that I want to cover. I want to read a couple more chats and comments from you all. Felicity G said, what about a general strike? I agree. We need that to demonstrate our power. The thing about a general strike that is different than just a labor strike is that we have the ability to hit them where it hurts them the most, and that's our consumption. I often talk about our contribution to society. I often talk about the way we contribute our labor to help generate this wealth. Everything that you see is generated either by our labor, our consumption, our participation, our taxes. All of us do those things every single day, and that creates the wealth that these billionaires are enjoying. The truth is I believe consumption. There are some key sectors that labor can strike. Like if you have dock workers strike, that would cripple. That is a power move. That is you would bring the system to its knees if you strike there. So that's why you always want labor to be able to strike. But I think the one that we miss the most is the power of consumer strikes. When this system is like 100% dependent on our consumption, and the fact that if we stop consuming just a little, there are no billionaires. They would take a hit like nothing they have ever seen if the American people stopped consuming at the same levels that they need us to consume for them to make their wealth. So a consumer strike is one of the most powerful things that we could possibly do, because it shows every billionaire that the real power is in the people. Here to this point, they've been able to get away with anything they want to get away with because the people aren't organized enough to execute a significant labor strike or consumer strike or combined general strike. But if we ever got organized to that point, if we ever got organized to the point where we could say, we're not going to spend our money with any of these people. We're going to withhold our consumption. We're going to save. We're going to save our money. We're going to do the exact opposite of what these billionaires need. These billionaires need us to spend our last dime. If we ever got organized to the point where we could say, nope, we're not going to spend until you do this, then that would be a revolution without picking up a single weapon. It would bring the system to its knees without us picking up a weapon. So I think consumer strikes, while extremely difficult to pull off, are extremely powerful tools, and that's included in the general strike. John Edwards says, as a grandpa of 10, I would rather fight now. Okay, cool, man. I'm not gonna argue with you about it. I understand. I'm sure you have a rationale and a reasoning there. Hotel California. Oh, hey, subscribe from Prime. And I remember your name being called out on the stream that I just got through doing with the Young Turks. So thank you for watching then, and thank you for watching now. Trump also instructed, this is from Blackberry Rabbit, Trump instructed Barr to arrest his opponents. This is not a game out here, for sure. Zolter the Magnificent on YouTube said, vote the terror out, Biden 2020. Jane Rovianek sent in a super chat. Thank you for that. Franco on YouTube said, it's all big talk when it comes down to it. They'll show themselves as cowards and leave. No violence, no crazy revolution. We all move on. Your lips to God's ears. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm just reading. Mary Beth O'Neill said, vote for Biden. I want to see a Trump perk walk. So, folks, David, do me a favor. I'm gonna call it here, man. I'm just extremely tired. We're gonna end the stream here. I want to, David, if you would go ahead and do a raid. Sorry, folks, I'm just not, just tired. My wife said, you shouldn't take that. You shouldn't take those pills before. And I was like, yeah, but I want to be able to go to bed because I haven't been able to sleep, and it's time for me to get some rest. So we're an hour in. We normally do an hour and a half. I hate to abandon you on the second half, but it's taking longer and longer for me to get my thoughts cogent enough, and I just need to go to sleep. So do me a favor, David. Go ahead and do a raid. I will leave the stream up and running while you do the raid, And after the raid is over, we're going to just call it a night tonight. Thank you all for hanging out with me. I really appreciate every chance we get an opportunity to talk with each other. I think this is going to become a critical component moving forward for us to know that there's a community at 10 o'clock at night of 2,000 people across all these platforms who feel the same way that you do, with some variation. There are a couple of trolls here and there. But it's important. It's important to know that you are not alone in what you're thinking. You're not alone in what you're fighting for. You're not alone in what you're fighting against. There are a lot of us out here. And while conservatives have the ability to give the impression that they are mighty in numbers, the truth is they're not. The truth is that we outnumber them vastly. The problem is that they are more organized. They don't have more numbers than us, but they are better funded and they're more organized. And to that end, it is absolutely an issue of us realizing not only that we have more numbers, but also realizing that what we need to do with those numbers is organize. And so I think that comment about a general strike is so vitally important. And some of you may not have even understood the concept of a general strike or the power that you have as a consumer. And that's why I think these streams are important, because we can share that information with you and actually use it as a beginning, as a catalyst for organizing. That said, it looks like we dropped a couple hundred, which means I believe the raid is probably complete. If the raid is complete, David, just give me a thumbs up in the chat. In that chat with the dual chat. Let me go there. And that's it. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see this tomorrow, and we'll have a full show because I'm going to get a full night's rest tonight. I tell you that much. I'm going to get a full night's rest tonight, and I will see you all next.